There's also, of course, a last-minute shakeup going on at the Pentagon, which is concerning a lot of Americans and national security experts. Let's bring in right now Democratic member of the Armed Services Committee, Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois. She's an Iraq War veteran and a Purple Heart recipient. And, Senator, I wanted to start by talking about a day that just passed for you that is very significant to you. Tell us about yesterday and what it meant to you.
Well, thank you for remembering that. Yesterday was my Alive Day, my Sweet 16 Alive Day. It is the anniversary of me being shot down. It's the anniversary of the day that insurgents attacked my helicopter with an RPG and I lost my legs. But it's also a day that I survived, that my buddy saved my life, and Chief Warrant Officer Dan Milberg landed the aircraft, and Specialist Hanneman and Bacchus carried me to safety. So it's a very special day for me. Thank you for remembering.
Tell me 16 years later, how, obviously, other than the physical limitations, how that's changed your life, how that's changed the way you look at life, and how that changes the way you do your job every day.
Well, I think like most people who get a second chance at life, that you clearly have an incident that gives you that second chance. You wake up grateful. I wake up every day and I say a word of thanks to my buddies who saved my life and the doctors and the nurses and all those great folks. And so for me, it's my North Star. I never want to live a day when I would let down the men who saved me. So every day for me is one where I dedicate myself to trying to give something back in return for what they did. Yeah, I can never repay them, but I can try to do the best that I can for this country that we all love, and try to do the best for, my constituents. And so every day I get a fresh start.
Casey Hunt's with us and has a question about some of the changes at the Pentagon. Casey.
Senator, good morning to you. I mean, as you were just talking about, you have such personal investment and understanding of policy decisions and how they impact the men and women that are fighting on the front lines. And clearly, this president has made significant changes at the Defense Department for these final 2 months. And the way one source put it to me was, well, if he needs people that are more yes men, then what's he asking them to say yes to? And some of those questions seem to be about our troops in Syria and Afghanistan. What do you think would be the impact of an abrupt change in America's footprint on the ground in those places or in the Middle East more broadly, if that is, in fact, what this president is tracking toward?
Well, it will be incredibly destabilizing. You will see a flaring up again of conflicts all over the key hotspots around the world. This was going to happen. The flaring up of actions by our adversary was going to happen again anyway, without this president hollowing out the top officials at the Department of Defense in order to do what he wants to do. Remember, I think Joe was just saying that, you don't get a 3-month grace period to stretch your legs and test out your training wheels as president. It happens before day one. And in fact, our adversaries probe us. They probe every new president, and they have for decades now. President Clinton, the World Trade Center attack, the first bombing happened in February of his first year. President Bush in February had to enforce a no-fly zone because Saddam Hussein was encroaching and testing it out. April 1st, the Chinese shot down our spy plane and captured U.S. personnel in President Bush's very first year. Obama, the North Koreans tested a nuclear bomb, an underground nuclear test. That happened in May of 2009. President Trump, the Syrians conducted their chemical attack. They wanted to see will America respond? And they conducted a chemical attack that happened in April. And President Trump had to actually do a surgical strike on an airfield. In September, North Korea launched another nuclear bombing, an underground test in September of Trump's first year. Our adversaries are watching, and they test us. And if Trump is hollowing out the Pentagon in order to do whatever he wants to do in Iraq and Afghanistan, because he wants yes men in the Pentagon, he is only going to contribute to that destabilizing effect that naturally happens in the first few months to first year of every single American president's first term. And it is absolutely a dereliction of duty. It is. I can't fathom why my Republican colleagues have not spoken up.
Susan Del Percio.
Senator, when you look at the situation and how the president is making these kind of whimsical decisions, he's just deciding on a whim to put someone here, someone there. Can you talk about the difficulty of correcting the action? It's not like all of a sudden the president-elect comes in and then puts his own person and everything goes back to the way it was before. Can you talk about how it hurts our nation and the instability it creates in the world, and that this just doesn't get fixed with another hire?
Right. So, we hear about Secretary Esper being fired. But what we didn't hear about was that all the top people then resigned. So the head of policy resigned, the head of the Secretary of Defense's personnel resigned, the key staff at the very top levels have all resigned. So it's not just one empty spot, it's a whole bunch of empty spots. And so when policy is happening, when real world actions are happening, you need someone who can make a decision right away, or who can do the triaging of what needs to happen as it goes up the chain. There's nobody there, or there's somebody there who's absolutely not qualified to be there. And that hurts our national security, and it gives an opening to our adversaries. They're watching us, and they want to see, hey, what can we get away with? Maybe it's not a direct attack on Americans, but it will be a direct attack on American interests. Turkey, for example, is watching us all the time. And if you look into the Middle East, you will see that time and again, our adversaries wait for, when there is chaos, when there is a weakness, perceived weakness, and they attack or they create, a distraction. And we can't afford to do that. Not in the middle of a global pandemic, for crying out loud.
Absolutely not. Senator Tammy Duckworth, we thank you so much for being with us, and thank you so much again, a day after your Alive Day, for your service to America. We so appreciate it.